File transfer complete.
This is the Arizona Podcast. Stories about the people, places, and events found along the highways and back roads of the Grand Canyon State.
And in this edition of the Arizona Podcast, we spotlight one of my favorite topics. It's the Great American Road Trip, and we do so with my new road trip kindred spirit, Stephanie Stuckey, the CEO of STUCKEY'S, which, by the way, if you're not aware, was the biggest roadside empire along the highways that began in the 1930s, peaked in the 1960s and 70s, and sadly went away. But rest assured, it's coming back full force. Its humble beginnings, the processes, and their future is coming up next. If you haven't done so already, stop by the Arizona Podcast website, simply arizonapodcast.com. At the very top of the form, you're going to find it, our sponsors. It's ESET for Internet Security, the Marriott Bonvoy card by Chase, and by Passport America. To learn more and receive special offers, visit arizonapodcast.com, follow the links, and you'll start saving today. That's arizonapodcast.com. Hey, by the way, visit our YouTube channel. We'd like you to subscribe. Now, the future of Arizona Podcasts is to start offering live podcasts on Podbean and simultaneously offer vodcasts. We're so excited for the future and really appreciate your support in our project. Now, lastly, if you haven't heard, I started a new segment on the podcast. It's called the Mother Road Minute. Now, what I've done is essentially taken my 30 years of radio and made little fun 60-second commercials. Now, I know there are thousands of videos, reels, and shorts on the internet, some even done with that huge Cecil B. DeMille style, and there's some pretty quieter, pretty simplistic videos. What makes mine a little different, you ask? Well, I'm the kind of guy that would rather go see the biggest ball of twine. So, along the Mother Road, I share those eye-rolling, gee, Dad, do we have to kind of things. How about visiting Snoopy's Big Brother Spike, the world's second largest rocking chair? How about a volcano, a wigwam motel, a city where the mayor is a jackass, and a watering hole in the middle of a 120-degree desert full of goldfish? They're there. So I hope you'll stop by and take a few moments to view the posted Mother Road Minute Reels found on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok channels. Now, without further ado, my kindred spirit, it is Stephanie Stuckey. She is the CEO of STUCKEY'S, and she's bringing it back fiercely. Stephanie, welcome to Arizona Podcast.
Thank you, Chris. I am excited, and I've visited about half the places you named in the intro, and so I'm frantically trying to note them all, so I'll have to listen to the recording and make sure I got every single one of the ones that I have not visited.
Oh, you have to.
Jackass Mayor. I am truly intrigued.
Well, I understand. I was talking with Jim Hinckley from Jim Hinckley's America.
I know Jim.
Yeah, and he was mentioning that he had spoken to you and you had spent some time together in Kingman.
We spent some time together.
Yes. So you guys were in Kingman, and literally you were 30 minutes away from the pond of goldfish and Walter, the mayor of Oatman, Arizona. So
yeah, I was pressed for time that day, and I had so much fun with Jim that I just used up all my allotted road tripping time touring Kingman with him. And I'll tell you what was really fun about that trip was I traveled it solo. It was not by design. I had planned this whole week of traveling Route 66 through Arizona and New Mexico with one of my best friends. And the day before we were to fly out to Arizona and rent a car, she got COVID.
Oh, no.
And so I had to go by myself, and I didn't know anyone. And so I just started looking up contacts that I knew through social media. Like, we were just connected on social media, but I didn't actually know them. But they were all affiliated with Route 66.
Right.
So the Route 66 of New Mexico Association, I reached out to them, and I got a tour through Albuquerque by their president, and then he connected me with Jim Hinckley. So it turned out to be such a wonderful trip. And because I was by myself, it forced me to reach out because I didn't want to do it all alone.
Right.
So it really was a happy circumstance that I did have to kind of reach out to people.
Well,
it was fun. It was really one of the best trips I've taken. And I was by myself.
you know what? Sometimes those road trips by yourself are some of the best. I discovered a few things on Old Route 66. You don't know that of me. That is my passion. I think the Mother
Yes,
Road.
well, mine too.
The Mother Road to me is, yes, the Mother Road. So I've made some really good friends. And when Jim Hinckley came on my show, I was thrilled. I tell everybody I was Charlie Bucket, and I got the golden ticket, and I was going to go to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. I got to talk to Jim Hinckley. Since that time on the podcast, Jim and I have become friends, and it is one of those relationships. I was just with him. Let's see, today's Tuesday. I was just with him yesterday morning having breakfast at the roadside, the world famous Mr. D's on Route 66. We had breakfast there, and I had spoken to him about you. I said, I'm going to be interviewing Stephanie Stuckey, and he could tell I was too excited. You have brought back some of a whole lot of motivation for me. So I get to watch you on Instagram and social media, and I am so like you. I don't know a lot about social media, but I'm on all of it. And
Right?
I heard you. I heard.
Lack of talent should not hold anyone back.
Listen, I'm a 63-year-old man and I'm on TikTok. So either that means I know what I'm doing or it's going to go away and only old people are going to be on it, like Facebook.
And I get more people coming up to me at trade shows. I use social media a lot, frankly, for my business. It's to market Stuckey's
Absolutely.
and the revival of the brand. And that's really why I'm on there at the intensity that I am. And I have been pleasantly surprised at how many people in their 50s and 60s come up to me at trade shows and actually want to place an order with Stuckey's because we're reviving the brand largely as a consumer packaged good.
Right.
Because we're now reviving and manufacturing all of the great snacks and candies that Stuckey's has always made, even before the stores.
Right.
It started as a pecan stand and the pecan log roll, which is sort of our iconic. That grew, everything grew from there. And so we're selling those pecan snacks and candies to thousands of stores, not just the handful of original Stuckey's that remain. And so I have people coming up to me all the time saying, I saw you on TikTok. They're of a certain age. And so everyone's on TikTok. And
I never thought I would be on TikTok.
I'm enjoying it. It's a fun channel.
You know what? And here's something, we're talking about the Mother Road Minute. The Mother Road Minute is achieving hundreds of views, and I find it mind-boggling. You might get 30 on Facebook, and then I went over to our YouTube channel, and we were in the hundreds. I think my last one reached over 750 views in the first 24 hours. There are a lot of people, and then you go into, and again, I always want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. But I have no clue analytic stuff where they tell you, well, you can have this many viewers, but how many people are still there after 21 seconds? And if you have this, you have that. And I don't care about that math. All I know is that over 700 people watched a video of Snoopy's Big Brother Spike. That's all I cared about.
That's really fun.
Yeah, and like you, where they come and they see you and they shake hands with you and they talk to you, and they said, oh my God, I never thought you would make the biggest ball of twine fun and exciting enough for me to want to go see it. I think that has a lot to do with your style as well. You're out there, and for those that don't know the name Stuckey's, and believe it or not, I've met a few people when I would share with them over the weekend, I said, I'm interviewing Stephanie Stuckey. And they go, who's that? I said, the CEO of Stuckey's. And they go, what's Stuckey's? So, it must be a Midwest thing. Well, you had, I'm sorry, not you, but the family brand, you guys were top dog. I mean, 60s and 70s to me was Stuckey's. It was Howard Johnson's. It was Woolworths was still around. You'd still go into a diner at a 5 and dime, and you say that now, and people go, "Oh my God, how old are you?" You don't understand. Stuckey's was a vision. I mean, when you're crossing Route 66 in the 1960s, I mean, and there's really nothing between, let's say, Tucumcari and Albuquerque. It's just road. And then you have that icon Stuckey's, pecan roll,
Mm-hmm.
candies, gas station. My mother, I could still, God rest her soul, I still remember her saying, they have the cleanest restrooms on the highway. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to be known
Yeah.
for
Before
something,
there
be
was
that.
Buc-ee's, there was Stuckey's. Yeah.
Now, let's go back to the humble beginnings. For those that don't know about your grandfather, then your father, and then you as a family, corporate America sometimes sucks, but sometimes corporate world, and I come from radio. When corporate came into radio, it just killed radio. So I understand that philosophy. But am I wrong to kind of say that when Stuckey's left the family, and it was the pet company, correct?
Yes, Pet Dairy.
Pet
Bought
Dairy took
Stuckey's.
over.
It was not a hostile takeover. It was totally
No,
voluntary.
no, I get that.
Yeah.
But they have a different philosophy than the family brand where
Yeah.
everything was
Yeah.
touched by hand by you guys, and it was
Mm-hmm.
packaged by hand by you guys, and it was stocked on the shelves by you guys. And then you
Yeah.
get into that corporate world, they're listening to the guy in Chicago who's listening to the expert in Seattle who's, it kind of
Yeah.
loses that
It
family
did.
appeal, right?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, we lost our mojo after decades of outside ownership.
The beginning, humble beginnings, 1930s, pecan stand in
Sure.
Georgia.
Yeah, yeah, on US 1, catering to tourists traveling to Florida.
Right.
And my grandfather was selling pecans, and then he started selling candies and kitschy souvenirs and saved up enough money to open the first Stuckey store. And within a decade, he had a chain which expanded to by the 70s, which was our peak. So if folks don't know us today, it's because we peaked 50 years ago. So
That hurts.
that is our challenge, is we are having to reinvent our brand to a new generation of customers who didn't road trip during that era. But we were the first roadside retail chain. So before there was Love's or TA or Pilot or Buc-ee's, there was Stuckey's.
Right.
And my grandfather built it from nothing. And we had, we were in 40 states. We were on every major interstate. We had almost 370 stores. We had a candy plant, trucking company, and 4,000 billboards
Right.
on every road. You would see a billboard, and road trips through the Midwest would be corn, Stuckey's. We would break the monotony of these long, long road trips because the intersections weren't crowded with a lot of offerings. So we really were this beacon often on a hill. My grandfather would put his stores up high where people could see them from a long distance off. So they would pull on over. And he sold the company, and it was out of our family for decades. And even when my father bought it, and I say this with love because I have a great deal of respect for my father, who's still, thankfully, very much alive.
Right.
But he had other priorities. He had other businesses. He acquired Stuckey's through happenstance. It was in distress, and he took it on because it was an emotional connection to the brand. Obviously, it was his father's company. His father was deceased at that point. And he kept it alive, and he merged it with the other businesses that he was running. He had the franchise rights to Dairy Queen stores on the interstate highway system. So you started seeing his Dairy Queen stores would include a Stuckey's component, or he would take the existing Stuckey's stores, paint the roofs red, and make them Dairy Queen and just have a little Stuckey's section, which I remember at the time I was in college going, Dad, what are you doing to the Stuckey's brand? Why are you painting these beautiful blue roofs red? Like, even then, I disagreed with him because I thought Stuckey's was a great brand. And he said, oh, the Dairy Queen brand is stronger. We need to lead with Dairy Queen. We're making money with Dairy Queen. And so that's what he did. And thank God for him, though. He kept the brand alive. Had he not bought it, it would have died.
Right.
But he sold his Dairy Queen company over a decade ago. And so the infrastructure that had been supporting what was left of Stuckey's, at that point, there were less than 100 stores when my father got the company. And then when he sold Dairy Queen, there were probably about 30 locations left, original locations.
Gotcha.
And by the time I got the company in fall of 2019, there were only a dozen original stores left. There were actually 13, and there's 12 now.
And you would call them pretty much corporate stores. They're still part of yours versus...
No, we don't own or operate them. Yeah, we were out of compliance with federal franchise law. It was a hot legal mess.
Oh,
I didn't have the financing to fix the franchise system or to run a franchise system or to renovate the stores. So I transitioned them into licensing. If there's any lawyers on the call, you can geek out on this part. But long story short, we had to pivot in order to resurrect the brand.
oh, I see.
And
Okay.
the focus is now on making pecan snacks and candies because my partners and I were able to acquire a manufacturing. Yeah.
You went back to what I had brought up earlier, where it was a hands-on kind of a thing. So you were able to buy warehouses. You were able to do the whole production facility thing, which is phenomenal. So you brought it back to the hands of the family.
Yes, although we do not own the pecan farms. My family has a small pecan farm, but it's not part of Stuckey's. And our pecans are locally sourced.
They're there in
from
Georgia. From Georgia.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Sheller's based in Southwest Georgia. And the stores are still a very important part of our legacy and our history and our story. And I would never say never. There's a part of me that would absolutely love to find, frankly, we would need a partner.
Right.
So if anyone is listening and they have, minimum 10 million to sink into a store revitalization program, please reach out to me.
Absolutely.
Let's talk.
No,
So
do.
I have not given up on that, but the roadside retail landscape has changed dramatically since my grandfather was around, and it's a very competitive environment. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
You have to understand the gas market. You have to really be able to build top-notch stores to attract.
But the product itself is still wonderful, number one, and
Thank you.
and it's still available. And a lot of people that
Yes.
the older generation, such as it's so weird for me to say that, me, the older generation, still can get a piece of history. You had brought up the fact that Grandpa built this from a roadside stand, and look what he did. One of my favorite stories, which you could probably parallel, for lack of better words, was the story of Knott's in Southern California. They started
Berry
out,
Farm.
They started off as a roadside stand. It turned into a chicken restaurant that turned into a theme park. So if your grandpa did the same thing, he said, "We're going to go from a roadside stand. We're going to have a wonderful little product here," and off you guys went. And I love that mentality. But it does need that revitalization, and because maybe it's in my head, I'm a little confused. I love the fact that you're doing the road trip over and over and over again. To follow you on Instagram, or again, social media, but I see you a lot on Instagram. You are taking the road trip. You're like visiting, and they love it. They embrace you. Like you said, they come and they show up at your shops and say, "Oh my God, I need a pecan log."
Yeah. And I did want to just go back to Knott's Berry Farm real briefly.
Oh,
because
sure.
They are partnering with us. They sell our products. So go to shops at Knott's Berry Farm, and they, like us, started as a roadside stand. We sold pecans, and they sold boysenberries.
Boysenberries, absolutely.
That's still a centerpiece of Knott's Berry Farm. They have a boysenberry festival. They sell boysenberry jam and boysenberry syrup and all things boysenberry, just like we're all things pecan.
Yes.
And then they grew into the amusement and the theme parks, just like we grew into the stores.
I had no idea of your relationship with Knott's Berry Farm, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would have never known that. And next time in Southern California, I know that I can go to their little stores that are open to the public where you don't have to pay admission to go inside the park, and I get to buy Stuckey's. I did not know that.
Yeah. I think it's really important to say that we are still part of the road trip. That is in our DNA.
Amen.
And so as I'm reviving the brand, I am absolutely talking about the pecan snacks and candies because that's at the centerpiece of what's driving our revenue. But it's all tied in with the adventure and fun of excitement of the road trip. And that's how we're bringing in new and younger consumers. And I can't tell you how many people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s who are now engaged with our brand, because there is no snack brand out there that's associated with pecan.
Right. That's true.
That's our value proposition. It's the only snack nut native to our country. And we think it's a delicious nut, and people are moving towards healthier nut-based, plant-based diets. And so it makes sense that they would explore new options. Like
What?
10 years ago, the pistachio was the it nut. We're ready for the pecan to not only be the it nut, but we want it to be the road trip nut. So if you're going on a road trip, like what are some of the things you absolutely have to have, right? You have to have a good playlist,
Right.
a good list of places you want to pull over or have it loaded up in an app like Roadside America.
Right.
And you have to have snacks. And road trips are when you bring along snacks that might be a little bit of a sweet indulgence, like a pecan log roll. Yeah, you also want to have the occasional healthy snack, and we offer that as well. We have our roasted and salted pecans or our new sweet and salty pecan that's less than 3 grams of sugar. We want to be part of that road trip, even as we're reinventing the brand to focus on the products.
I'm going to make Stuckey's part of the Mother Road Minute. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but my head's
Yeah.
spinning in the background here.
It's easy. We're part of the Mother Road. We're still sold on the Mother Road. You can pull
Absolutely.
over at TP Curios in Tucumcari and find our snacks. You can go to Buck Adams in Tulsa, which is right on Route 66, and it's
Right.
got a giant muffler man out front. They sell our product. You can go to Springfield, Illinois, and you can see a former Stuckey's store that has been beautifully renovated as Motorhead's Bar and Grill. And the only original Stuckey's billboard that I am aware of that is restored and still in existence is at that Motorhead's Bar and Grill.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
All of those are on Route 66, and all of them celebrate Stuckey's. And then if you go just a little bit further down the road to the Illinois State Fair, which is a year-round exhibit, you can see they've done a neon park for Route 66, and they have billboards, and one of the billboards is the Stuckey's. There are lots of go-to places on the Mother Road that sell Stuckey's or that part of the Stuckey's brand.
Right.
There's still an original Stuckey's in Adrian, Texas, on that long, lonely stretch between Amarillo and hitting the New Mexico border, like before you hit Roswell. And you'll see Adrian, Texas has an old original Stuckey's. It's not operating as a Stuckey's, but it is a convenience store and they sell our product.
Oh.
So you'll see places like that all along the Mother Road that strongly associated with Stuckey's.
And let's not forget the big Route 66 Centennial, which Arizona
coming up.
Podcast is all over that. Like I said,
Yeah.
I had brought up just in the opening of this show in particular that we'd like people to be involved on our YouTube channel. And I know that I've learned now how to do the video side of it as well as I've learned the audio side of it. Our plan is for the centennial years to broadcast live through the state of Arizona with live broadcasts during the centennial. So we have the city of Winslow, the mayor, Cano, is just open arms to have us come out there. And we're thinking on maybe, I assume you've stopped by the standing on the corner. And then
Oh, yeah.
we would love to do our show from there. And then the mayor
Fun.
the mayor of Williams has invited us to come out and do the show there. And Kingman has done the same thing. And Oatman has done the same thing. And I think what I've done with the Mother Road Minute, which is different than Arizona Podcast, is that open the door beyond the borders of Arizona. So I talk about what happens in California, is New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and make our way to Chicago. So it has opened the door for us to be able to talk about all these really cool things. But the key word, or words, if you will, road trip. People are
That's right.
staying home now more, and they're rather than traveling abroad. And I don't know about you. I don't mean to put you on the spot to pull the numbers off the top of your head, but what is the international? Is there a huge group of people that order online internationally for that?
Oh, I can give you the number easily. It's 0. We
Oh.
do not ship internationally yet.
Oh, okay. I wondered if there were any
I
kind
hope
of
so.
yeah, because
We
that
don't
seems to be a
yet.
big thing. Like Japan and China actually have
Yeah.
Route 66 foundations, and
Mhm.
they have annual events that are huge. My base on Instagram is probably 40% international people who come
Oh,
out.
I believe it.
You know,
Yeah.
at breakfast yesterday morning from at Mr. D's in Kingman, Arizona, was a group behind us of 3 couples from Austria who are just
Yep.
out here traveling Route 66.
Yep.
They're here for 3 weeks, and that's all they want to see is the Mother Road. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. I hope that they find Stuckey's and and get a taste of the pecan roll, and let's see them start banging on your
Yeah.
door. You know what I'm saying?
I'd love that. What's fascinating to me, I've seen the same thing when I travel Route 66, and I try to do a little bit of it every year, is I always see international travelers. And frankly, I see more international travelers than I see
Locals.
from our country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love talking with them. Of course, they all speak English.
Yes.
And they're just in love with this country. And then when I haven't gone abroad a lot because I'm just so busy running Stuckey's, when I have, it's amazing how many people, when they ask me like, what do you do? And I'm like, I run this pecan snack and candy company and we're a road trip company. People are like, oh, what about Route 66? Like, that is a talking point.
It should always be a talking point. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they love it. I remember I went to Chicago is so interesting to me because they've got two markers that are either the beginning or the end of Route 66, however, depending on how you want to view it. And I was at one of them, the one that's right across from the Art Institute, and it was just packed with French tourists. Wasn't a single American. It was all French tourists.
And they were there for photo moments, I bet. It was
They were taking photos. Yep.
And it's interesting. I've been at Santa Monica Pier, and it's the same thing. The Wigwam Motel in Rialto, or if you want to call it San Bernardino, it's the same thing. The tourists that literally get out of their car, take the photos. This isn't. I was the same way as I mentioned to you before. I have seen Route 66 from the back seat of a 1964 Chevy Bel Air station wagon. I remember almost everything. I remember the Carlsbad Caverns, the St. Louis Arch. I remember the Mississippi River. I remember everything. The ones, and I think I told you, my big thrill was Tucumcari West. I remember everything about that part of the trip, and I think that's why I live here now in Arizona.
Yeah.
It was so amazing to me. The Painted Desert, Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon, the Meteor Crater, Chief Yellow Horse at the border. There was just so many little things that stick out in my mind. My father, and he's passed now, and I don't think there's any legality problem here. My father authored a book called 60 Miles to Tucumcari. So that led me to believe that it also had a big impact on him. That drive of Route 66. So it was one of those weird things. He never published the book, but that was the book that he wrote. So it was kind of interesting until you take that road trip and you learn all of the things. My childhood is Stuckey's. Now the Stuckey's aren't there anymore. So and like you said, we have a bunch.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of things. Buc-ee's is a big thing, I guess. I've never been to one of those yet, but
I have.
I understand
Buc-ee's
they opened up one
fun.
here. No, I want to go try their. I want to pull the pulled pork. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where they're generating that same buzz that Stuckey's had of the 60s and 70s. So, but the people today, the young people today, they're the ones that are out doing the road trip, and that's their experience. So, come see what Mom and Dad and Grandpa did. And until you bite into one of your pecan, I swear, Stephanie, I need to order one of those online. It has been years. It's been years since I've had that taste in my mouth. I don't know. I didn't know I lived in Southern California for so many years. I didn't know you were at Knott's, or I would have bought them there for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we are nationwide. I don't know how many Hobby Lobbies are out in California, but we are in Hobby Lobby nationwide.
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
Sells the pecan log.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So after this interview, I am like 5 miles away from a Hobby Lobby.
Oh, excellent.
I don't go into a Hobby Lobby. I don't do hobbies. But now I know. I
hope that store's in stock. Every now and then, I'll tell folks like, go by X store, and they'll go by and they'll say, they were out.
I'm
But still,
gonna
if they're
tag
out, let me
you.
know, and I will send that information to our sales director, and then she'll reach
I'm
out
I'm
to
gonna
our
tag you
contact
in that
there.
in the
Yeah.
Instagram post that I found a
Yes.
Stuckey's pecan log, and it will be surprising. I'll probably get a lot of calls on the podcast here telling me, "Oh, geez, you should go down the street here," and I would much rather travel Route 66 and do the road trip
Yeah.
than get on the highway. So
Oh, 100%. So much more fun.
instead of Interstate 40, which wiped out a lot of the small towns, Amboy and the like that you would find in California, here in the state of Arizona and New Mexico, every time Interstate 40 cut through, well, we lost that taste of Route 66. So I can only imagine. I don't mean to put
Yeah.
you on the spot. Do you plan on
Yeah.
being part of that 100 years? Do you have centennial plans with Stuckey's?
I would love it. We are a comeback brand, so we don't have a big budget to offer sponsorships. What we can offer is some pecan log rolls. And so if the organizers are listening, I have reached out to the organizers and said, we love to be the official snack of
Oh,
the
that'd be
of the
awesome.
centennial, the official road snack of the centennial. But our contribution would be we would offer some product samples. At this point, we don't have the budget,
I
to
understand.
actually give a financial contribution for that designation. So we'll see. Maybe they'll work with us. But whether we're official or not, you know what? We're just going to
I'm gonna.
say, hey,
I'm
we
gonna.
are the snack. We're the
What?
snack brand.
You know what? Write this one down and talk to your legal team. And I know you're a lawyer, so I have an idea for you. Let's make right now. It's in audio. Let's make the pecan log the unofficial snack food of the
Yeah.
Mother Road Minute.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about that?
Well, we can be this. We can be
Unofficial.
Well, for the Mother Road Minute, I think you have a say or two in that.
I do.
Yeah.
I am the Mother Road
Yeah.
Minute. So I'd like to
You are
make
the
you
Mother
the.
Road Minute.
I am the Mother Road
Yeah.
Minute. So let's.
So we're the official snack of the
Yeah.
Mother Road Minute, right
You mean
there. Bam.
I can go from unofficial to
Yeah.
official.
There we go.
It's done,
Yeah.
Stephanie. Count me in.
So as long as I don't have to supply you with like a
No,
lot of free
no.
pecan log rolls, but I could give you like a couple.
There goes my diabetes right through the window. I'm
Yeah.
toast. But I will make you the official, the pecan log, the official snack food of the Mother Road Minute, and I do
Awesome.
not, and I will make that happen. Stephanie,
All right, breaking news.
So now we know what the past is. We've heard part of the process. What is the future of Stuckey's?
Well, we want to be the go-to snack brand for pecans, not only in the country, but in the world, right? We're having a global conversation. So we want to be the go-to pecan snack brand in the world. And more pecans are grown in the state of Georgia than anywhere else. We grow almost a third of the world's supply.
Wow.
And it is the only snack nut native to our country. So we're pretty proud of that.
We don't have pecan milk yet.
It is a thing. We don't make it. I have had pecan milk from a company here in Georgia. It's called Treehouse Milk. I absolutely love their product. We sell it at our retail shop connected to the Stuckey's candy plant. I don't think it lasts long. I'd have to check the shelf life. It has to be refrigerated.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm not sure how scalable it is right now, but it is absolutely delicious. And we sell through it really quickly at our shop. People buy it all the time. It's one of the healthiest nuts.
Stuckey's.com. That's you, correct?
Yeah, Stuckey's.com.
And people get to come by. Now, I've been by the website, and you have all the product there. So people are
That's
not
right.
going to be. You had just mentioned Hobby Lobby. They're huge. So
Yeah.
are there
Yeah,
other
we love
are
that
there
brand.
other stores that carry the brand?
Well, the national stores are At Home, Hobby Lobby, Murphy Express. I think is pretty much all over the country, and then we've got a lot of regional. Mostly, we're going to be in the Southeast.
Right.
So in the Southeast, you can find us at Ingles and Food Lion, which are pretty large size grocery chains. Several hundred stores in those chains. We're in the Wawa convenience store chain in the state of Florida. We have been in TA, Truck Stops of America, for certain time periods. So they've brought us in and out, and we've sold well. So hopefully we'll re-up with them. So we're getting there. It's just a matter of scaling, which takes time. You know, growth takes time, but we're getting there.
I know you hear this a lot, and I hope you don't mind if I say it. You are an amazing woman. From everything.
Well, thank you.
What people need to do is learn more about you and your process and who you are and what you've done and what you're doing. I mean, just in my time, I always hear little tidbits about you. I mean, like for 15 years, you were a senator. What was it you were? You were
state rep. I was a state representative
for the state of Georgia. So
state
you
of
did
Georgia.
that. You're an attorney. Your family is, look what you've done.
I am learning. I mean, I guess if the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who tries and fails and gets right back up again and dusts themselves off and keeps on going, I guess, yes, that would be me. But absolutely learning as I go. It's a journey, and we're still very early in the journey of reviving this brand. But I think we're going to get there. You know, it's all about having a good team and being passionate about what you're doing and just refusing to give up and just keep trying. And that's what we're doing. And I think we're going to get there.
You are going to get there.
I'm very confident in it.
So you take the word think out of it.
I'm proud of our team.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And you acknowledge the team. A lot of people fail to do that.
Couldn't do it without the team.
Yeah.
We've got an amazing team.
Turn that pyramid upside down. The boss is down the bottom, supports the entire staff. So what you have to do is you recognize, I could teach my waitress how to cook. I could teach my cook to take an order, but not many people will jump in the back and wash my dishes. So if I didn't have clean dishes, I couldn't serve anybody and the restaurant fails. So it's one of those things.
So true. True. I talk about that when I give tours of our candy plant and we get into the sanitation room, the people who are cleaning all of our equipment.
Yes,
and I say, this is the most important room of our factory because we have SQF certification, which is the food safety certification. And without that, we couldn't sell to Hobby Lobby or At Home or Wawa. You know, a lot of these big chains demand that you have certain food safety criteria and that you're a quality product and that you have cleanliness standards. And that stuff matters. You know, people care about.
QSC in the restaurant business, same thing. Quality service and cleanliness. If you don't have it, your doors are going to close. I love the whole Stuckey's story, and I take it back again to being 9 years old and traveling across the U.S. and being a part of that official road trip. And I know I can't relive it, but boy, it sure does bring us some really good memories. And part of that, and a huge part of that, is Stuckey's. And you had mentioned in your story, which I loved hearing, that he would make sure that he built the Stuckey's on top of a hill so you could see it.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the impression in my head. I remember those long desert roads, like you said, between Amarillo and Tucumcari or Albuquerque.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there, and then you would see that beacon. And to me, it's a lot like the Roy's Motel and Cafe in Amboy, California.
Yes.
Absolutely nothing except this giant neon sign in the middle of the night. And I remembered that at 9, and I remember it now. I've been blessed to be able to hang out with these people that are now running the city of Amboy, population 0. They are you. They are there from, sunrise to sunset. If you get a chance to stop by my YouTube channel, you'll see that there's one of my short clips is they allowed me to light the Roy's sign at sunset.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
And I tripped 3 breakers is all I did. People, I flipped a switch, but to me it was like the biggest moment of my life that I got to flip the switch on. So they're still out there. You can still drive through, and you can fly a plane into the little Amboy Airport, which is basically a strip of desert sand that's been leveled. So people fly their little planes, and then they taxi their planes on Route 66. These are the things that people don't see when you're on Interstate 40 and you're flying down the road at 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, you can't see that.
Get off the road and see that. Stephanie, I wish there was more time in the day. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I love the signature on your emails. My time ain't the same as your time. It's like...
Yeah, I email people at all hours, and I do my best to be respectful of weekends and not overtax my team, but I work all the time. And so you might get a 4:30 a.m. call, email from me. And so, yeah, my signature line says, I think something like, I work crazy hours.
Right.
Apologies if this, please don't let my obsession turn into yours.
To your obligation.
Like
to
your obligation.
My obsession become your...
Yeah, feel free to respond whenever's convenient for you. Like, I don't expect an answer when I'm up. But hey, if I get an answer at 5 a.m., I found a kindred spirit.
Well, you know what? You found one in me. Thank you for the open arms, and thank you for the opportunity to share time with you. I know that I've watched a few of your videos where you're like at a chamber meeting, or you're on a economic development group, or you're doing whatever.
Yeah.
I understand the business side of Stephanie, because that's... You have to have that.
That's part
but
of
I
it.
do
Absolutely.
I do love the personal side of you. Enjoy what you do, Stephanie. And if you want to drop me an email at 4 a.m, please feel free to do so. And please know that I will not write you back until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But that'll work just fine. But you are a sweetheart. Thank you so much. You are my kindred spirit, and you have a photo of me when I was 9. I'll have to.
Yes, I love that photo. Thank you for sharing.
I think it is on my Instagram page for Arizona Podcast. I was 9 years old traveling. I want to say it was Tucumcari, New Mexico, and my 2 sisters and my mom with her curlers in her hair and the scarf over the curlers with the giant Stuckey sign in the back. I mean, it was definitely the
zigzag carport.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That classic. We used to have that zigzag carport, which I just love. It's just this beautiful mid-century modern design, and those carports, you just don't even see them anymore. Even the original Stuckey stores that are still standing don't have the carports.
Is that style, that cover, is that part of was it googly art?
I thought it was called Gucci, but I may be.
I think it's G. It's like Google, but
G-I-E.
Yeah.
I thought it was G-O-O-G-I-E. Yeah, but yes.
That is part of that art form.
Mid-century modern.
Yeah.
It's sort of that whole era. Yeah.
I sounded so official.
I just love that style.
Well, listen, I wish you the best. I kid you not. I am going to get in the car. I'm going to drag my wife, Miss Mary, and I. Honey, we're going to Hobby Lobby, because those are words I don't speak.
And she'll be so happy.
She will.
Probably. I don't know. I love Hobby Lobby, and I don't mean to be gender specific on this, because I know there's men out there who love Hobby Lobby. But my daughter and I love Hobby Lobby.
I was going to say, I have been drug into Hobby Lobby, Joanne, and I'm going to put Jim Hinckley on the spot. He listens to the podcast, so I am going to put him on the spot. And that is that the next time you visit the area, the 3 of us, we're going to find a great place to take.
Trip.
We are going to road trip through the southwest of Arizona and show you some of the most craziest things to add to your list of things that you've seen. And again, in my world, I hear eye rolling from the back seat when my grandchildren are in the back and I'm going to take them to meet the mayor of Oatman, and you can hear their eyes roll. It's like, Papa, do we really have to go do this? And yes. So we'll take you to those places too, Stephanie, so that will work.
That sounds like fun. Oh. It's a plan.
And you are now the official snack food.
I love it.
Of the Mother Road. Listen, thank you so much. A big special thanks to Stephanie Stuckey for making time out of her busy schedule. Also want to thank my better half, Mary, for always being windy to my Peter Pan. But most importantly, I want to thank you, the listener, for taking the time to download and to listen to our podcast. Again, please do us a favor. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find us at Arizona Podcast. This is the Arizona Podcast, a proud member of the On the Interstate Radio Network.
Program terminated. Thank you for listening to the Arizona Podcast. For more information on our podcasts, the people, places, events, or the sponsors heard, visit ArizonaPodcast.com. Available for download everywhere.